All right, welcome back. We are enjoying a very special day, and we've got a very special guest. You know him from a lot of your favorite records, and he's going to talk about his new solo record, Vortex. He is the keyboardist extraordinaire, songwriter, producer. Please welcome Derek Sherinian.
What's up, my friend? So good to talk to you again.
Yes, it is. Always good to hear your voice, and I know you're right down the street here in Burbank, so it feels like we're neighbors. So,
oh, where are you?
I'm right here, like Hollywood Way and Burbank Boulevard.
Oh, dude. Portos.
Yes, Portos, all of that, all the good stuff. Smart and final. So now I know, born in Laguna Beach, you've had an incredible life moving up the coast here to the capital of entertainment here in Burbank, where so much goes on, so many great studios. And I know you play so many keyboards, and illustrious life. How did you get started on keyboards? Who introduced you, and why did you fall in love with the instrument?
Well, there was a piano in my parents' house, and I started gravitating to it as soon as I was old enough to crawl on the bench. And I always try to pick out melodies and the songs that my parents would play, from the Beatles to Bob Dylan or whatever. And as I got a little bit older, like 6 or 7, my parents got me a classical teacher, and I started learning pieces. And I played for like 3 or 4 years, and then I lost interest in it when I was around 11, because I started getting into skateboarding and surfing, and none of my other friends were musicians. Then a couple of years later, like when I was 12 or 13, I met this kid that moved across the street from me, and he was into Kiss and Aerosmith, and he played guitar, and I had already played some keyboards, so he had a piano at his house, so we would jam. And I figured out like bar chords, the root fifth down low, to make it sound like guitar. And so I started learning rock songs, and that really sparked my interest to want to play in bands, and it just never stopped after that point.
Yeah, well, I know it's an important part of a band. There's so many guitarists, so many drummers, bass players. I know sometimes singers are hard to find, but to have a great keyboardist who's multi-talented, that can add that background and flavor and layers to a band, it's so incredible. So many bands do it in the studio, and then they go out live and they're like, oh man, we don't have a keyboardist in the band. They got to resort to tracks or different types of stuff. But I know you have mastered it, and so many accolades over the years. Keyboardist Magazine declared you a keyboard hero for a new generation. And also you've been called King of the Keys. And of course, Alice Cooper called you the Caligula of keyboards. So,
it's always funny names.
Yeah. The accolades come pouring in. And I know one of your early gigs, you went out after, of course, the great music school, is playing with Buddy Miles, from Jimi Hendrix, and them changes. I know you paid tribute to Buddy, and he shared a birthday September 5th, and I know you're a Virgo too, August 25th. So Virgos unite. A lot of Virgos in this business.
Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of amazing, Freddie Mercury shares a birthday with us, and a whole bunch of other legends. But what was it like to kind of all of a sudden you're playing with the guy who was Hendrix's, backup, his partner?
It was very cool. I mean, Buddy was the first person to ever take me on the road, and we toured the Chitlin circuit of the South. And I remember there was
talking about Mississippi, Georgia, Alabama.
Oh yeah, the deep
South Carolina, Arkansas.
Yeah, the old juke joints, the old Chitlin circuit. And
did any of them have barbed wire up?
No, not like the movie. But no, it was crazy. And Buddy was just such an amazing drummer and singer. And he used to just tell stories about playing with Hendrix and Zeppelin and all this. It's just amazing, and being exposed to him really is something that I value, and I miss him. He was a good cat.
Yeah, a big man and a big loss to the music community. And
yeah, a big heart.
Yeah. Well, I know, of course, you've played for many years with Dream Theater, and is Vortex your 9th album?
It's my 9th solo album.
Okay.
Yes.
starting with the great albums in the early days. I know from Planet X to Vortex, it makes 9 albums, and I know this one is the best of them all. And of course, you rekindled your relationship with Simon Phillips and special guests with Michael Schenker and Nuno Betancourt and Zach Wilde, Steve Stevens, Tony Franklin. Quite the album. Now, obviously, you've played with so many great groups, Black Country Communion with Joe Bonamassa, and you played with him solo, and of course, Glenn Hughes, Jason Bonham in there, and you're also a part of Sons of Apollo. What can you do on your solo albums that is so different for you than, a collaboration with a band?
Well, first out of the chute is you take the vocals out of the equation. So that frees the music up to go wherever. And then on the solo records, I really love just using Simon on drums. We just have such a great chemistry, and he's my favorite drummer, and I just don't hear anyone else on my music. So he and I are the constant, and it gives us the flexibility to use different guitar players on different songs and for different styles, and then add in any other instrument that might be cool to add some flavor to the track. Like we've been using a lot of theremin on the last couple records, and we use a sitarist on this record. And so, yeah.
Yeah, it's nice to add all those different flavors. It's a big wide world, of music, and
yeah. And
so
the solo
bands...
records, it's just I do what I want, and there's no like band meetings or texts or anyone else you have to consider. It's just Simon and I write the stuff, so the two of us work together, and that's how it is.
Wow, that is amazing. And how many albums have you done with Simon now?
I think it's like 7. This might be the 7th one.
Okay. So I know he's one of the greatest, and you've probably already scheduled him for your 10th album. It's like, Simon, keep yourself available.
Yeah, well, no, we have a great, working relationship, and for him, it's more than just playing drums. I mean, he's co-writing, he's mixing, and co-producing as well. So he's heavily invested in my records. I'm just very grateful that he takes enough musical interest to want to participate and do this with me. He really adds a lot to my sound and pushes me big time as a player. So very grateful for that.
Yeah, well, I know the world is heavily anticipating Vortex. We all love what you do, and whether you're playing with a band or doing it solo, we can always depend on you to give us enjoyment musically and stretch the envelope. It's always great to be inspired by new sounds. And I know Jan Hammer is one of your idols and influences, and of course Elton John and Edward Van Halen. These are all people that made magic, and the first arena show I ever saw in my life, I was like 13 years old, and Elton John on the Yellow Brick Road tour in Dayton, Ohio. And I walked through the turnstile and past the concession stands and into the corridors of the arena. And I thought it was a different world. I mean, my life changed. I walked into the opening of the arena, and my life has never been the same since, and Elton came out and had just one hit after the other, a monster band, had the costumes and the production. This was like 1973. And
yeah, wow.
Just amazing. So to see him take his final bow is great. And, all the greats, of course, Jan Hammer with Jeff Beck made some of the greatest music of all time. Now, is there any live shows, any events, anything that you got coming up to celebrate Vortex?
We do. There's 2 shows that are booked. There's one in Ventura, California. It's going to be with Simon on drums and Bumblefoot Ron Thal on guitar, which I'm very excited about. And then we have a show in Armenia as well at the Starmus Festival. And so those are the only 2 things that are scheduled, but I'm trying to work with some promoters on putting some other dates together, schedule permitting. I mean, everyone is so busy with their own projects and other things. it together, I'd love to do some shows if it makes sense. But we're doing those two for sure.
We encourage everyone to go to DerekSherinian.com, get all the information on the album.
Or on Instagram. The best way to follow me really is on Instagram and Twitter. I mean,
Okay.
that's where I'm at most of the time.
You're most active on
Yeah.
IG. And what is your IG address?
It's Derek Sherinian official, and then Twitter is just at Derek Sherinian.
Fantastic.